Hi everyone, it's Marie from Dreamcatcher here. So this video is really an introduction to my new online membership. So this online membership will give you access to over time hundreds of meditations, but one step at a time, one video at a time. So first I'm going to address probably one of the biggest things I hear when I mention meditation to anybody, and that is I can't meditate or I can't shut my thoughts off. Right, fine. I can't particularly shut my thoughts off, but I can turn the volume down on them, and that's what meditation has done for me. So for me, meditation is rather an exercise in concentration or in focus. So usually I'm looking to focus either on my breath, having an awareness of what's going on in my body. Sometimes we're not always aware of the niggles, the aches and pains that we maybe have. Also, for being aware of my thoughts, maybe any judgments, beliefs that I'm holding on to, either about myself or other people. So, meditation isn't just simply about sitting there, shutting off, and maybe chanting certain sacred or Sanskrit words. Although there are forms of meditation where you can chant, and I will be doing some videos regarding that. But first of all, before you meditate, it's good to have a little prep time, even if it's just a couple of minutes, where you can simply have a stretch off, stretch your arms, maybe making sure that there's no tension around your shoulders, because quite often when we sit we round our shoulders off, we do tend to slouch quite a lot of the time. And then some people do what is referred to as the corpse pose, and that is simply where you lie on a yoga mat and your palms are faced up to the sky, and it's just about getting yourself ready to get into that peaceful state. The other bits of prep that are good to do is nip to the loo, nip to the toilet, because there would be nothing worse. Be sitting there thinking, I have to go, because you will get distracted. So that's obviously quite an important one. For me, I always have a glass of water with me when I meditate, in case I get a dry throat, but I also am conscious that you do need to have take a few mouthfuls of water before you meditate. That will mitigate maybe the dry throat, maybe, but it possibly won't eliminate it for you. And lastly, it's really important after you've meditated to finish your glass of water and maybe go have another one as well. It's important that we keep our bodies hydrated. And then the next thing I want to touch upon is about what positions you can meditate in. So some people like to sit on a cushion, and usually they'll be sat in the lotus position. And you can find loads of different meditation cushions out there. But you may just for the time being use pillows and cushions that you've got at home. But you do definitely absolutely have to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable during meditation, then you're going to be distracted, because your thoughts are going to be quite pervasive and you're going to be aware that you're uncomfortable. So comfort is quite a big one. Some people, like myself, I prefer sitting in a chair, and I find the chair very comfortable, and it means that I can actually lean back in the chair, so maybe I'm not putting too much pressure on my back, my shoulders, and it allows me to keep my feet flat on the ground, and it means I can either choose to have my palms skyward while they're sat on my lap, or I can hold them like this. But it's usually what I'm drawn to. Usually I will have my palms skyward though. And if you may not want to do either of those, you may prefer to use a mat, like a yoga mat. And for the yoga, if you're using a yoga mat, you can either be sat in the lotus position, or you can even be laying down in the corpse pose. I don't tend to lie down for meditation simply because I know I'm probably more likely to fall asleep than anything. But if you are having trouble sleeping at night, because sometimes I have trouble switching off if I've had quite a hectic day and I'm still going over the to-do list and not checking in with myself enough in a mindful way. So if I am meditating when I lie down, it's probably because I'm in bed and I'm just trying to clear the to-do list in my mind, and a bit like having too many tabs in your internet browser open, at some point you've got to clear them. So if you are having trouble sleeping, something like a meditation track might be of use to you. I would always recommend having a blanket or a shawl, because some people do complain about getting cold while they meditate, particularly if you're sat on a yoga mat, because obviously you're pretty much directly connected to the ground then, so your body temperature might drop. So obviously it's quite nice to cozy yourself up. Loose clothing is an absolute must for me during meditation. The last thing you want is to be sat in tight constrictive clothing, so things like jeans, they probably aren't going to be great for sitting doing a meditation, but it is very much each to their own. It is about your own comfort at the end of the day. Also, you may choose to have bells, tinctures, singing bowls. Some people use those to mark the start of their session before they start listening to a meditation. So they might use the tinctures, say for argument's sake, and use them to clean and clear their auric field. And timers as well. Some people find them maybe a bit distracting, because if they can hear the sound of the timer, then it's of no use. I myself, if I'm just doing my own meditation, it's not guided in any way, I use an app called Insight Timer. It's free, you can get it from Google Play or the iTunes? What is it, iTunes? The Apple Store. No, it's iTunes, isn't it? It's iTunes. So I use that, so I'm not having to constantly think about, have I run over, how much time have I got left, because then I'm not being present and I'm not dedicating myself fully to that meditation practice, which is important. How often should you meditate? That's another one I hear quite a lot of. Simply, obviously the more you do it, the more consistency in which you do it, the more ease you'll find with it. Some people struggle to start with, so you might not get that feel-good factor or that peace and calm and serenity straight away, but obviously the long-term benefits kind of speak for themselves. you know, science is known for quite some time now that, you know, people who meditate, they're much more peaceful, calm. It tends to help with people who've got high blood pressure, maybe other health issues. So people with mental health issues quite often noticed a difference, usually because they're becoming more aware of their thoughts, feelings, and obviously if they're relaxed, it means that any sleep issues they're having, either sleeping too much or too little, are starting to be dealt with. So while a meditation practice may not always be easy, it's always worth it. I'm not necessarily saying I meditate twice a day every day, because life gets in the way. But the more we do it, the better it's going to be for you, particularly if you're dealing with challenges. And sometimes those are the moments we don't feel like meditating. Those are the times we go, I don't really want to do that. But those are the times we're going to see the most benefit from it. Whether we see it straight away or not is another thing, but it does build up our resilience, particularly our emotional resilience. And, you know, we're in a world now where we're constantly plugged in. You know, we're always contactable. We've got no space. You know, we've got Facebook. Usually people check those like first thing in the morning, and they check them sometimes, you know, we've all caught ourselves doing it, scrolling through Facebook going, why am I even looking at this? Because actually I'm not necessarily liking what I'm seeing. Obviously social media, for all its wonders, can be quite a harsh environment as well for some people. See the pressures of our working lives, just our lives in general, you know, they're quite pressured. So, and that's seen across the board now, that life is quite pressured in lots of ways, from young children up to, you know, pensioners. So we all have our own worries. So this is a way for us to just be aware, have an awareness of ourselves, our minds, our bodies and our spirits. I would always recommend having somewhere peaceful where you can go to. I know it's not always possible, but I would always recommend having somewhere that's your sacred space, if you can. Have it somewhere that's away from your ordinary world. You know, it could even be a little small section in your bedroom. You know, or, you know, even if it needs to be in your living room, it's just having that clear, safe space. That's yours, and that's where you go to when it's time for your peace and calm. And, you know, you might in time decide to put a little altar in there. So for me, I have different altars all around my home. In my bedroom, I've got one that's pretty much dedicated to crystals. I've got pieces of selenite, citrine, a little Buddha. I've got a salt rock candle holder. Another part of my home, I've got a big Welsh dresser that's got all my books in it, all my spiritual books in it. It's got all my decks of cards, and, you know, I try and have things on there that represent angels, spirits, connection with the earth, connection with water. But ultimately, your altar can be whatever you want it to be. You might even have pictures of loved ones who have passed. If you are maybe religious, you may choose to have images of Buddha, Tara, Christ, Virgin Mary, or even you know, other goddesses, even if you know you're not religious. So, but everyone's is different, and it needs to be what speaks to you. I have on all my altars I have candles as well. So obviously that represents the fire element. So yeah, I think that's all I need to tell you at the moment. So after this, I will be uploading more videos regarding that will be solely dedicated to meditation. There'll be meditations on there that are 5 minutes long, and then there'll be meditations that are maybe 30 minutes long. And you know, you choose the practice which suits you. There'll be meditations for that I've recorded for my sister circles, my new moon and full moon circles, and my crystal healing meditation circles. There'll also be mindfulness meditations, compassion and love meditations, manifesting meditations. There'll be meditations there about connecting with spirit guides, angels, goddesses, you name it, it'll be there. But obviously this library is going to be developed over time. So I hope you enjoy this online membership, and sending you all lots of love, and hope to see you soon. Bye.